Do me a favor, picture this. You're sipping on a cup of your favorite brew, rain taps softly on your window, and in the background, a cozy crackling vinyl record spins. That, my friend, is the essence of lo-fi. This is short for low fidelity, which basically means low quality. Lo-fi is all about embracing the imperfections and the laid-back nostalgic vibe, and the lack of quality causing a very chill and almost like a musical time machine, and often is described as the calming music. With smooth jazzy instrumentals, vinyl pops, and a smooth Rhodes piano. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can produce it. This is How to Lo-Fi Hip Hop. In today's video, I'm going to break down a lo-fi beat that I made today. So first things first, I booted up a FL Keys, which is a Rhodes piano. Now, you don't have to use FL Keys. I just thought the Rhodes piano sounded nice. Now, when making lo-fi, you want to embrace imperfections. So these chords aren't played the same velocity and not played exactly on the grid. That's because I played them on the piano and I just found a chord, pressed it, and it sounded cool, so I stuck with it. But if you don't have a keyboard and you can't do that, you can click up here and activate the piano keyboard. These chords are completely off nowhere. I just played notes on the keyboard and I was like, yes. And these chords are pretty basic. You can see this is just a minor chord here. And then from building off it, we have C and E. These chords to me felt very nostalgic, and you can take a listen. So yeah, you can already tell there is that lo-fi vibe there. So that is the basis for this entire beat. So once you have your chord pattern, and it's very chill, very slow. Again, you want to keep this at a low BPM. We've got this at 82 right here. Once you've got this, then we can move on to adding in other kinds of elements. So the first thing that I decided to add was a guitar pad type thing, and it sounds like this. I thought this was very dreamy and soundscapey and added to the piano in a way where it didn't overtake or overshine it, but it just created it to sound more interesting. And this is literally just copied and pasted with the bass notes copied down as well. If we take a look on the effects, it is just a basic EQ here. But I have routed all of the sounds I'm about to show you into one mixer track, and then I'll break down the effects on there when we get to it. Okay, so we've got 2 layers already. Let's make it 3. So we got this extra layer right here, which is a piano. And this is a Labs piano. It's a modular piano, the tape piano. And this adds that little hiss in, that classic vinyl hiss that you hear. And it's just again copying the chords. These are all layers to build up the soundscape that we're trying to create to make it feel very spacey. So let's take a listen to all of these together. You hear how they all like co-align and work together. And this is because I've not only panned some of these sounds into different ears very slightly, but I've also put some of these in mono and some of these separated. I've explained in a few other videos, but mono basically means one, a single sound. So when you put something fully in mono, it's going to be playing directly in the middle. When something is in stereo and it's separated, it's going to be playing in your 2 speakers, so in your 2 ears, and it'll feel like it's surrounding you more, whereas mono feels like it's being delivered straight. But yeah, what this does is this can separate the frequencies and stop them clashing so much, which is why I like to do it in these kind of beats. Okay, so we've got our main chords on our main soundscape here. It's time to get a nice little melody in. So for this, I booted up a free plugin called Sapphire Guitar Essential, and it just sounds like this. And the way I came up with this melody was by actually playing it on my keyboard. So if you don't have a keyboard, again, you can use this built-in one here. And when you're listening to the beat, hum a melody or hum something that sounds catchy or interesting, and then try and replicate it from your head. And this just again loops over on the second half, just in different notes that make sense with our chord progression. This adds a little bit of liveliness to our soundscape and our chord patterns and brings it to life. And I really like how it sounds. It's very, very simple. Dun, 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 dun. But you kind of remember it and it sticks in your head. So all together with these sounds. But this kind of is our counter melody. We have a main melody here. So we've also got another Sapphire Guitar Essential, and it sounds like this. So this is our... This is our little catchy melody that plays throughout the beat. So it's just going... And as you notice with a lot of these notes, they're very off the grid and very randomized. Now, I know you're probably watching this and you're like, well, how did you come up with this? How do you make melodies? And that's something I always want to know, because it doesn't feel like there's a set way to make melodies. What I would do is I would listen to other lo-fi beats, other sounds similar, and get inspiration from them. But really it's just trial and error and practice and practice and practice. So this is very, very simple. The notes that I'm getting from here are just straight from my chords. So this is in the scale of C major, so it's only the white notes. I'm just getting the notes from my chord pattern to play the melody. So if you're struggling coming up with a melody, just play notes. As soon as you find one that works, keep it, try another one, and then try it and build from there. We've just got this little catchy thing. Very, very, very basic melody, but that is kind of the vibe that we're going for. We want it simplistic, and we don't want to overcomplicate it, because the listener, this is supposed to be background music. It's supposed to be chill, relaxing, a nice vibe. And if you've got like it's going to ruin it and distract the listener. So all together with our elements, it sounds like this. So this is sounding really, really cool, but there is still some things that we like to add. It feels like it needs a little more presence. So what I did is I added from Labs a vocal. So it is the angelic voices, and this is just playing throughout the whole thing to add a bit more presence in the higher frequencies, the mid to high frequencies, and together it sounds like... Now to me this sounds a little more ethereal and spacey, which is kind of what we're going for here. So the final thing that I added to this sample is the bass. Now this is Ample Bass P Lite, which is a free plugin. And this is just playing the bass notes, and this sustains throughout the whole chord progression. This is filling up the lower frequencies. I'm sure you know what bass does. So yeah, this is sounding really good so far, but I'm going to show you what it sounds like without the effects that we have here. It kind of loses that lo-fi charm, right? So we're going to add these back on. And you can hear it sounded more lo-fi. So the effects that I have is this EQ here, which is cutting out a lot of the high and low end. This is basically degrading the sound and making it sound like it was played on a more old school type of thing. Next up we got Cymax Origin doing the same thing, but also adding a bit of vinyl crackle, a bit of movement, which is where it goes wobbly, and the notes aren't exactly on the key. It kind of wobbles up and down in pitch. And we got 1% of saturation. And then we have a tiny bit of reverb just to extend the sound a little bit and widen it. So aside from that, we have another bit of Foley that I've added to the beat, and this is just a loop of rain. Rain to many people is very, very calming, and adding it to your calm beat does the same thing. So it's just rain. So yeah, you can hear it sounds really, really nice without it. Still sounds good, but it's just got that little bit of charm when you add in that extra Foley to create your soundscape. As well as this, I've also added Lo-Fi Kids in Park. It just sounds really nice, and the point of this beat in particular is to feel nostalgic and to take you back to a simpler time in life. So adding the kids in the park just sounds cool. It's just for the intro, but I thought it sounded nice. But let's get on to the juicy bit, which is the drums. I started off with this Labs, and this is a little ride cymbal, which is, I'm going to take off my drum bus effects for now, so you can hear the raw sound, and then I'll show you after. Okay, that's not even on that's in the sample, but okay. So what I did is I just played it on my drum machine naturally. So as you can see, the velocities are very, very randomized. Some are off, and it gives it that natural swing, which is what we want when we want to embrace the imperfections. So with that, I also added a hi-hat, which is just going up and down in velocity. We've also got a snare here that I played, and as you can see, sometimes it's off. As you can see, sometimes it's slightly off, and the notes are very, very randomized. You could do this naturally by straight up grabbing the note and moving it. So yeah, we just have this nice little snare going on through, and then we also just have this kick, which has sounded really, really good and lo-fi so far, but we have to do a couple things to these drums to make them pop a little more. So on the drum bus, we have a fruity compressor, which is using something called parallel compression. And this means when you mix a heavily wet compressed signal with your dry signal, and this essentially glues your sounds together. As well as this, we have a little radiator, which is saturating our drums, which brings them out a bit after we've glued the sounds together. It loudens them and brings them with some saturation. And then finally, we've got this EQ to cut the sub and high end, which makes your drums sound lo-fi. So I'll add these effects without that EQ. They're very loud and prominent. Let's add this. Now they're very squashed and lo-fi and more relaxing, and is not harsh on your ear. Next up, we have a lot of percussion here, and these are just little Foley ear candy sounds that I just add into the loop. Some of these sounds are off and not on time, just to give it that little extra flair and uniqueness. So yeah, and then for the intro, we have this crash reverse. Now there's a lot that I want to do to this beat to finish it. This beat should be live. If it's not, then it will be soon. But yeah, this is the heart of the beat, and this is heart of lo-fi for me. And I really enjoy making lo-fi. If you like the beat, let me know, and I can make more videos like this, more chill type videos, you know. But yeah, let me know what you think of the beat. Let me know if you learned something. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to play you a quick preview of the beat, but it should be live soon.